Is Mr. Torres? Oh, good morning, Mr. Torres.
No duct tape. Stand your ground. No retreat.
Sir?
Make my bond and chill you.
I'm going to ask that you be quiet.
I'm just making a request. You make it $1 million, I'm paying that, and I'm getting out.
Thank you. Mr. Torres.
Thank you, Your Honor. My understanding is that he is demanding...
Wilnita Hill's smile was the kind that stayed with you. Her pictures showed a young woman full of life, always with her children, always glowing with love. The old photos now sat beside candles and flowers, a small memorial on a quiet street in Cleveland. Nearby, police lights had once flashed red and blue, painting the pavement where her body was found. It all started with something small. A car. A simple decision. She and her boyfriend had taken her brother's silver Pontiac without asking. Maybe they didn't think it would matter. Maybe they thought they would return it before he noticed. But they didn't know what that one act would lead to. In a city where violence already ran high, no one expected that the next headline would tell the story of a woman killed by her own blood. But it did. The sirens screamed, the neighbors ran outside, the cameras rolled, and somewhere in the middle of it all, a mother of 3 was lying on the ground, shot to death in broad daylight by her brother. That was the end of her life. But it was only the beginning of the horror. This is the real story of Wilnita Hill, a sister taken by rage, a family destroyed by its own, and a tragedy born from something so small it could have been avoided. Wilnita Hill was born on August 13th, 1993, in Cleveland, Ohio. She grew up in a big, mixed family. Some of her siblings had different mothers, some had different fathers. Life was not easy. There was drama, there was pain, but Wilnita always tried to bring peace. She loved her family deeply, even when they made it hard to love them. She was the type of person who gave second chances, even when it hurt her. She was soft-spoken, but strong. She didn't have much, but she worked hard for everything she had. She worked as a cashier at Target and later at Walmart. She didn't complain. Even when she was tired, she smiled. She was kind to customers. She made people feel welcome, even on her worst days. But the biggest part of her life was being a mother. That was her whole world. Her first baby came too early, but she never gave up. She held that child close and promised to give them everything. She later had 2 more children, 3 kids total. She loved them with her whole heart. She didn't go out. She didn't party. Everything she did was for her kids. She was a good mom, a present mom. She fed them, clothed them, held them when they cried. She posted their pictures proudly on Facebook. She celebrated every birthday, every little moment. Those kids were her reason to live. Wilnita was not rich. She didn't have fame, but she had love, and she gave it fully. Now those 3 kids will grow up without her. No more hugs, no more bedtime stories, no more "I love you" before school. Just a hole in their hearts. And the worst part? The person who took her away was family. Her own brother, someone she trusted. She didn't deserve to die, not like that, not in the street, not in front of her children's future. Antonio Swanson was 32 years old. He was Wilnita's half-brother. They shared the same father, but the bond between them was not one of love or peace. Antonio brought trouble everywhere he went. He had a long history of violence. He had been arrested for stealing, for hitting women, for threatening people. He had been in and out of jail. The police knew his name well. He didn't care about rules. He didn't care who he hurt. On social media, he acted like a gangster. He posted videos holding guns. Sometimes he aimed them at the camera. Sometimes he shouted threats. His words were full of anger and hate. He wanted people to fear him. He liked that feeling. But behind all that noise, there was something darker. Antonio was broken inside. He often talked about being abandoned. He once posted that no one cared about him on his birthday. He said he grew up without real parents. He felt forgotten. None of this excused what he did, but it showed something was very wrong with him for a long time. He was not just angry. He was dangerous. Everyone around him could feel it. Even his own family didn't feel safe. Still, Wilnita tried to believe in him. She wanted to think he could be better. She gave him chances. She stayed kind. She stayed hopeful. But Antonio didn't change. He got worse. And one day, all that anger and pain inside him exploded, and he aimed it at the one person who never gave up on him, his own sister. It was October 23rd, 2019, just another regular day in Cleveland. The sky was quiet. The streets looked normal. But something terrible was about to happen. That morning, Wilnita and her boyfriend made a choice. They took Antonio's car, a silver Pontiac Grand Prix, without asking him first. Maybe they just needed to run errands. Maybe they thought he wouldn't mind. But they were wrong. To Antonio, that wasn't just a car. It was control. It was power. And now someone had touched it without permission. That set something off in him, a deep rage that had been building for years. When Wilnita and her boyfriend brought the car back to the house on East 109th Street and Mount Carmel, Antonio was already waiting. He was furious. There were no calm words, no chance to explain. He came out screaming. He wasn't just angry, he was shaking, out of control. The argument exploded. Words turned into threats. Then came the gun. In one quick moment, Antonio pulled out a firearm and shot Wilnita. The bullet hit her and she dropped to the pavement. She was still. But he didn't stop there. As she lay helpless on the ground, not moving, not speaking, he walked up close and shot her again. Then again. Right there in the open, in the street where kids play, where neighbors stand and talk, where families live. He killed her like she was nothing. No mercy, no second thought. After that he ran. He didn't even use a car. He got on a bicycle and disappeared down the road. People who saw it happen screamed. They called the police. But by the time officers arrived, it was too late. Wilnita was already gone. She died in the same place she tried to live a peaceful life, outside her own home, with her own family nearby, and her brother, the one she always tried to love, left her there to die, and vanished into the city. After the shooting, Antonio was gone, but not forgotten. Cleveland police responded fast. So did the U.S. Marshals. A manhunt began that same day. They searched the city street by street, house by house. They knew who they were looking for. They had his face. They had his name. They told the public to stay away from him. Antonio was armed and dangerous. He had just killed his sister in cold blood. He had no fear, no guilt, and no plan to turn himself in. The police warned everyone, if you help him hide, you'll be arrested too. Flyers went out. News stations showed his face. Neighbors were scared. Some locked their doors in daylight. Days passed. No one saw him. No one said a word, but police didn't stop. They followed every lead, watched every street camera, and listened for whispers. Then, on October 28, 2019, 5 days after the murder, they found him. Antonio was hiding in a house on Crestwood Avenue, near East 110th Street in Cleveland. He thought he was safe. But the law had caught up. Officers stormed the house. They arrested him on the spot. No escape this time, no bicycle, no running. The man who took his sister's life was finally in custody, but for Wilnita's family, it wasn't justice yet. It was only the beginning of more pain. The courtroom would be next, and it would be just as ugly.
Is Mr. Torres? Oh, good morning, Mr. Torres.
No duct tape. Stand your ground. No retreat.
Sir,
Make my bond and chill you.
I'm going to ask that you be quiet.
I'm just making a request. You make it $1 million, I'm paying that, and I'm getting out.
Thank you. Mr. Torres.
Thank you, Your Honor. My understanding is that he is demanding, so the date will be November 7th.
November
Now,
7th?
The state will ask for a $5 million bond in this case.
Make that $5 billion.
The
$5
defendant's
billion.
statements in the court
That's disrespectful.
in regards to the bond and the threats to the prosecutor.
I made promises.
Those promises were also made in previous cases. The defendant was served 3 years for 2 cases, intimidation, attempted intimidation, and menacing by stalking. The menacing by stalking, for which he finished serving his sentence last June.
in the early hours of...
Antonio didn't walk into the courtroom like a man full of guilt. He walked in like nothing had happened. No sorrow, no shame. Just loud, strange behavior that shocked everyone watching. During his first hearing, he interrupted the judge. He talked over the lawyers. He laughed at the charges. He even said the bond should be higher, like he was proud of what he did. He acted like it was all a game. The prosecutors asked for a $5 million bond. That's a very high amount, saved for people who are dangerous. But Antonio didn't flinch. He mocked the number and asked for more, like he was daring the court to stop him. His face didn't change. His voice was steady. There was no apology, no emotion, just cold words and strange outbursts. Then came the indictment. The grand jury charged him with everything: aggravated murder, attempted murder, felonious assault, gun charges. The list was long and heavy, just like the pain he had caused. Still, the court had to go slow. They ran tests. They checked his mental health. They reviewed his past, and it was dark. Years of violence, jail time, a history of stalking and threats. None of it looked good. And then, after nearly 2 years of waiting, it ended quietly. In September 2021, Antonio Swanson pleaded guilty to murdering his sister. There was no trial, no jury, just a simple admission. Yes, he did it. He killed the one person who never gave up on him, the one who tried to love him when everyone else stayed away. That courtroom was supposed to bring justice, but it only reminded everyone of what had already been lost. A mother, a sister, a daughter, gone forever, and nothing said inside those walls could bring her back. After the courtroom lights faded and the news cameras moved on, the real pain began. Wilnita's family was left, broken. Her mother could barely speak through the tears. Her voice shook when she said, "There are no words to describe a mother's loss." She meant it. They didn't just lose a
that
daughter.
words can
They
barely
lost the heart
capture.
of the family.
They are left with the
Birthdays
impossible
feel
task
empty
of
now.
carrying on
Holidays
while living in
are
the shadow
silent.
of a tragedy
There's no
that
laughter.
feels both
In the house,
senseless and
just a
surreal.
hole no one can fill. Her siblings still struggle to understand. Some of them don't talk about it. Some cry when they do. One of them said, "It should have never been her." Because it shouldn't have. Wilnita was kind, she was quiet.
I'm going no
She
tree,
stayed
I'm
out
going
of
to get
trouble. She always gave love, even when she didn't get it back. But the ones who lost the most were her. Children, 3 young kids,
She ain't
too
trying to
young
go.
to carry this kind of pain.
She ain't trying to
They
go.
ask for her, they look for her, they wait by the door.
She
But
about to
she's
hang
not
around,
coming
bro.
back. There are no more hugs, no more bedtime kisses, no more, "Mommy,
Oh, she ain't
I
going
love you."
nowhere.
They didn't just lose a mother. They lost their world.
She ain't going
Now
nowhere.
family members try to step in. They do their best, but it's not the same. Nothing ever will be. The city of Cleveland felt it too. News reports ran
And
for
what makes
days.
this pain even
Neighbors
more, the
cried.
person responsible for this
Strangers left flowers on
unimaginable
the
loss
sidewalk where she
is
died.
someone from her own
People
blood.
asked why no one
But
helped Antonio
perhaps
sooner.
the most
Why
devastating
didn't
ripple
someone
has been
step
felt
in
by
before
her
it got
children.
this far?
3 young
Mental
souls
health
now
became the center
left to
of
grow up
every
without their mother's
conversation.
warmth,
People
guidance,
said
or love.
this wasn't
They
just
are the true
murder.
victims of a crime
This
that
was
robbed
years
them of their
untreated
safety and
pain
foundation.
exploding all at
And while
once.
family may
But it was
try
too
to fill
late.
the void,
No
the
matter
truth
how many
is,
stories were told,
there is no
no
substitute
matter how
for a
many
mother's
people
love.
shared her photo,
Wilnita's murder is not
Wilnita
just
Hill
a tragic
was
headline.
gone.
It's a
And the
reflection
people
of how
left behind
untreated
had to
trauma
figure out how to
and
live with
unaddressed
that.
mental illness
Day by day,
can spiral
hour by
into
hour.
irreversible
Heartbreak
destruction.
doesn't go away.
I'm going no tree, I'm going to get him.
She ain't let go yet.
Straight like that. She ain't trying to go.
She ain't trying to go.
She ain't trying to go.
That's what that's all about.
She about to hang around, bro.
Seriously though.
Oh, she ain't going nowhere.
That's why I right there.
She ain't going nowhere.
Looking back, the signs were always there. Antonio didn't just snap one day. He had been showing dangerous behavior for years. The way he spoke to people, the threats, the violence, the way he acted like he was above the law. That's what experts call narcissistic rage, when someone believes they own everything, and if you cross them, they explode. He didn't see Wilnita as a sister that day. He saw her as someone who touched his things, someone who made him feel small. And that to him was enough to kill. Experts say this kind of thinking is common in people with deep personality disorders. They want control. They feel rejected. They hide behind anger because they don't know how to ask for help. But that kind of pain, if ignored, can destroy lives. Antonio didn't get to this point alone. He had been spiraling for years. The police knew his name. The courts knew his face. He had been locked up before. He had stalked a teenage girl. He had made threats. He had cried out online, saying no one cared about him, and yet nothing serious was ever done. This is where the system failed, not just Wilnita, but Antonio too. No one stepped in. No one slowed him down. He slipped through every crack over and over again until someone died. People often say it was just a car. But this wasn't about a car. It was about a person who had been walking with demons for a long time, and no one helped him fight them. That's the lesson here. Mental health isn't a small thing. If someone shows signs of rage, if someone speaks about harm, if someone acts like the world is against them, take it seriously, because one ignored warning can become a funeral, and by then, it's too late. Wilnita Hill didn't die in a war. She wasn't caught in a robbery. She wasn't living a dangerous life. She was a mother, a worker, a woman trying to build a better future for her kids. She died because someone close to her, someone she trusted, let his rage win. This wasn't just about a car. It was about something much deeper, a broken system, a broken mind, and a family that never saw this coming until it was too late. There are so many others like Antonio, angry, lost, ignored, carrying pain they don't understand. And there are so many others like Wilnita, loving people, trying to help, hoping for change, until the violence reaches them. This cannot keep happening. If you or someone you know is struggling with anger, depression, or violent thoughts, please speak up. Don't wait. Help is out there, and one phone call could save a life. This story is more than just a crime. It's a warning. It's a cry for change, in memory of Wilnita Hill, a mother, a daughter, a sister, a light taken too soon. Let her name never be forgotten. Let her story wake us up.